the past couple of months, racial tension has erupted in our country and here in Southwest Missouri. Greene County Sheriff Jim Arnott joins us now to discuss relations between the community and law enforcement. Sheriff, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Recently, we've seen several protests in the area, some of which happened right outside your office doors. What is the department doing to help ease racial tension?
Well, open line of communication, just like anything else. We have met with some of the organizers and have had very good meetings. Everything's been very positive. And the big issue is that people do these demonstrations or protests in a peaceful manner and what fits within the law.
How are deputies handling the ongoing pandemic?
So with the pandemic, it is difficult to maneuver through, just like everybody is having difficult in everyday life. We have put policies in place to where we are basically mitigating a lot of the exposure. However, we come into contact with the general public every day, so that's been really tough. We're putting out the information that CDC recommends as far as frequent hand washing. They have the opportunity to wear a mask. There's a lot of things that we're putting in place to try to lessen that. We've taken a lot of measures inside the courts facility to mitigate exposure there also, but we do have a large number of people that visit the courthouse every day.
It's a very difficult situation for sure. Are they wearing masks as a part of their patrol operations?
Not as far as patrol operations. However, our court security, our campus security people are wearing masks because they are coming in direct contact with a large amount of people, not in a 6-foot distance. They're all close, and so that's where we're taking that precaution. The masks are optional for the deputies out in the field. Obviously, they're out in the heat, they're out doing things, and so I don't mandate that, but it is optional for them to do it if they feel like they need to.
And has that masking ordinance in Springfield impacted your deputies working in Springfield?
It hasn't.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit, Governor Mike Parson is calling a special session to address an uptick in violent crime over the past several weeks. Is Greene County also seeing an uptick in crime during this pandemic?
Well, not necessarily during the pandemic, but in the last couple of years, we have had an uptick in violent crime, crimes against person. And so I think the governor took a great step in moving towards passing Senate Bill 600, going after people that stiffening some of the penalties and helping us with a witness protection program to allow witnesses or victims to be able to be housed somewhere, and he's putting some money towards that project. So I really like the direction the governor is going with that, and I hope we continue on with that, because the biggest thing that we're concerned about in this community, obviously, is violent crime. Property crime is a big issue too, but violent crime, what we need to do is be able to, when the judges sentence somebody to 10 years, that they do 10 years and they don't get back out and they don't reoffend. So going after the violent criminals and then taking care of the repeat offenders, and I think the governor's going the right direction.
Okay, so is the uptick in crime putting a strain on the already crowded jail?
So, yes, obviously, it's anytime that we have more inmates in. During the COVID pandemic, though, judges did release a lot of our inmates. So they're out on other means, whether it be an ankle bracelet or out on a bond. And so it's not any different than it was 6 months ago, to be quite honest.
Are you seeing an uptick in crime during the summer?
It ebbs and flows throughout the year. Now, during August, we usually see an uptick, but, all about like domestic violence, things like that. If you have people that are with the COVID issue, I really thought that we would see an uptick in domestic violence, but we actually seen a decrease. So, but the problem is that may be because they're not reporting it. So it could go several different ways. It's really hard to predict, but we try to keep an eye on the trends.
Okay, and you mentioned the pandemic. Is that causing any delays on construction of the new jail out by the airport?
No, from what I've heard from the construction manager and the advance team for the sheriff's office, we are ahead of schedule on the building. So far, so good.
And what will happen to the existing jail once the new location is built?
That specifically, I don't know. That will be up to the county commissioners. They're in control of the buildings. One thing, we will have to use at least a floor or a part of a floor to stage inmates to go over to the courthouse when they're ready to go over for trial or a court appearance. So some of that we will still utilize, but a large number of that space, it'll really be up to the commissioners on what direction they want to go with it.
How much bigger is that new location going to be than the current location?
Well, we have 601 in the existing jail, with another 108 out in the temporary jail. The new facility will be around 1,200, I think is what we're shooting for. So it'll be more space.
Okay, so your department recently partnered with Missouri State Highway Patrol to complete Operation Safe Ride. Why did you decide to participate in that event?
Historically, we've participated in that event many times. It's a very successful program. Anytime we can partner with the Highway Patrol and utilize their resources and work on these projects is a positive thing.
All right, Sheriff Arnott, thank you so much for being here today.
You bet. You're welcome.
We'll have more Ozarks Tonight coming up after the break.